I'm Kane. Let me share with you one of my stories. This story begins at Cylinder Explorers Camp in September 2011. While I was at Cylinder Explorers Camp, I was offered a safari to lead Safari Footprints guests on a 4-night overnight and canoe safari along the Cylinder Spillway. I had an agreement with Safari Footprints and great plans to do a scouting trip along the Cylinder Spillway to familiarize myself with the route before the guests arrive. Remember, at this stage, I had never walked this route. I had only canoed. I had a hectic schedule at the camp. Being the only guide in camp, I did not have an easy schedule to free me to do the scouting trip. I would see days coming closer and closer, and at this point, I haven't had time to do the scouting trip. Just a week before all the guests arrived, with Matt Copham, I had 3 days gap with no guests in camp, and I thought this is the moment. No matter what happens, I have to do this trip. I quickly got into the radio and checked if my friend Isaac at Zarafa camp was available to join me on the walk, but the answer was negative. I also checked the Cylinder guides. They were not available. We were in the middle of the busy safari season. It was very difficult to have a free guide in camp. This left me with no options but to think about option B. I had option B1 and option B2. Option B1 was to do the trip with my girlfriend, now my wife, and option B2, if she refuses or scared to go with me, then I have to go alone. I quickly contacted my girlfriend. She was in Mount at that time. I asked her if she can join me on the walk. It was also a test to her to see if she can cope with my career. I doubted if she will agree to my request, but she surprised me. She accepted. With the excitement of knowing someone would be accompanying me, a very important person, I was very excited. I quickly got hold of Great Plains office in Mount and booked a flight for my girlfriend for the following day. Kate also got very excited, and we haven't seen each other for like 2 months. This was like crazy. We surely missed each other. Kay went for shopping where she bought new shoes, bush trousers, and shirts for the trip. We had 2 20-liter backpacks in the house in Mount, and I asked her to bring them with her. She was arriving the following morning. In the morning, I rushed to the airstrip to pick Kay. I was very cautious meeting her at the airstrip. I wanted to stay focused on the trip. A night before she arrived, something triggered into my mind. I remembered one of the oldest traditions of hunter-gatherers, my tribe, Bukakwe, San tribe. My parents have taught and told me this tradition so many times, and themselves have practiced. The tradition says if you are going to the bush, you don't have to have love with your girlfriend or either your wife. No. The tradition also comes with consequences if not obeyed. The myth is you may get injured or attacked by wild animals or get lost. When we got to the camp, I quickly told and explained my tradition to Kay. I did not want her to ask herself so many questions on my behavior, and I didn't want her to tempt me to do something against my tradition. Remember, I've been sitting in the bush for 2 months. So she understood me. Thank God we both obeyed the rule and behaved well until the following morning. In the morning, we started packing to set up for our walk. Our backpacks were fully loaded. Luckily, we did not have to pack water as the spillway was flowing. Kay's backpack weighed 15 kg, mine weighed 20 kg, plus extra kilograms on the rifle, ammunition, and fishing rod I was carrying. Kay is not a big girl or heavily built. No, she was, I would say, petite, but very determined. We left the Explorers camp around 7 a.m. Before we set off, I asked myself many questions. What if something happens to Kay? As her parents did not know she was with me in the bush. I also asked myself, what if we get attacked or by wild animals? How is Kay going to get back to camp or get help? Very tough questions to answer, but I had to continue with my plan. As we left, I told Kay that I was going to talk to my ancestors for their guidance, and I was going to talk to them in my San language. I spoke for 3 minutes with my ancestors. I simply asked for their guidance and protection throughout the journey. 10 minutes after we left, we came across our first encounter. It was a herd of about 50 buffaloes. They were just calm and just looked at us and ran away. Afterwards, we came across general game, impala, kudu, and all the beasts. At around 11 a.m., we stopped for a break of about 30 minutes. It was starting to get warmer, and I reminded Kay that we more likely to encounter elephants and buffaloes as they will be coming to drink water. We continued the journey after the break. We were left with 15 kilometers to get to our first overnight stop. Our pace started slowing down as we encountered lots of elephants and buffaloes along the spillway. As we continued to come across buffalo bulls and breeding herds of elephants, I made a decision to slightly stay away from the spillway so we can walk with a faster pace. The decision helped us, but not much. We still discovered during our detour that in some areas the flood water has gone further into the woods, and we were still encountering lots of game. It got very hot at 2 p.m. and we decided to have to lunch break for an hour. We swam in the spillway for about 5 minutes during our lunch break to cool ourselves. After the lunch break, we continued our journey. We had more challenges with heads and heads of elephants and buffalo bulls along the spillway, resting underneath the shade. We did lots of detour around to stay away from animals, which extended our distance to get to our camping spot. As we got closer to the spot, we came across an obstacle. The spillway floods into the woods. If we have to detour, it will take us about an hour to get back to the track, and if we take a shortcut, roughly about 20 minutes. So we ran out of time. It was like 5 p.m. in the afternoon, and I made the decision to do the shortcut. We thought it was going to be an easy crossing, but it wasn't. Underneath it was thick mud. This we didn't know. When we were halfway to getting through, we saw a herd of elephants coming our way through the water. They were coming slowly, but still faster than us. I was pushing Kay to walk faster, but it was very difficult for her to pull her leg off the mud. The mud was so thick that Kay's shoe sole came off. The elephants were catching up with us. We finally made it through to the dry land, which took us about 30 minutes. We got to our camping spot at 5:45 in the afternoon. We put up our pop-up tent. I called upon my ancestors and lighted the fire. After lighting the fire, I took my fishing rod and went to the spillway to fish. We camped just a couple of meters away from the spillway. At this point, Kay was sitting on the log watching me fishing. I caught a catfish and released it back to the river and continued fishing. The sun was about to set and Kay is asking me to come out of the water. Luckily, I caught my first bream, second bream, and the third bream. I got out of the water. We were both happy. Kay prepared the bream and traditional cooked the bream with only water, salt, and cooking oil. We only had one cooking pan. After the fish was ready, we transferred into our plates and prepared papa porridge. While Kay was busy cooking, I collected more firewood and piled just to each spot. I had 2 fires, one in front of our tent and the safety fire just behind the tent, and piled up lots of firewood next to the fire spot to keep adding at night. At some point, something was telling me that something's going to happen at night. After the papa was ready, we dished into our plates. We didn't touch the food or didn't eat first. I called upon my ancestor. This is our commonly practiced tradition. After that, we enjoyed our meal. At midnight, I heard a grunting loud noise behind our tent. I came out of the tent to see, and it was 2 hippo bulls fighting. I took a stick and threw towards them, and they ran back into the water. Surprisingly, we didn't see any hippo when I was fishing in the evening. We went back to sleep afterwards. At around 2 a.m. in the morning, I heard a stampede noise coming our way. I quickly woke Kay up. It was a herd of buffaloes being chased by a pride of lions, and they were running towards us. The buffaloes saw our fire and stopped, and the lions made a kill. We would hear everything from inside our tent, as if it is happening inside our tent. The buffaloes crossed the water to the other side. We could hear them battling through the water. At this point, the lions already got 1 buffalo. All this is happening at 100 meters away from us. The lion started roaring after the buffalo died. Kay was holding me back not to go out of the tent. I got very angry at her and told her to leave me. I told her we cannot hide at this point, as the lions know we are there. We have to come out to put more firewood and to keep our fires going, and that will give us more light and it will help us. I needed her to help me to shine the torch and also hold the rifle for me while I put logs on the fire. I needed both my hands to be able to pull big logs. She finally came to assist me. I saw her frightened for the first time. I put a lot of big logs in the fire to avoid coming out often. The lions never stopped roaring. They roared through the whole night. We did not sleep afterwards until 6 a.m. in the morning. We were still inside our pop-up tent at around 6 a.m. We wanted to make sure that we come out of the tent when there's enough daylight. Knowing we made it through to 6 a.m. in the morning, we started to relax the tension. We both slept at the same time like a light switch. We slept for 30 minutes. During our deep sleep, I dreamed of my late father telling my cousin to pass a message to me. I would hear him telling my cousin. The message was, please tell your cousin when he wakes up, he should cook food from the fire and not have cold food or tin stuff for his breakfast. Before eating the food, I should take a portion out and put on the log of the fire and call his name, and afterwards we can have our breakfast. The message was straightforward. We woke up at the same time. I told Kay about the dream I had, and I told her we have to do as the dream says. I came out of the tent. It was 6:30 in the morning, and there was enough light already. Thank God the lions left us alone and did not even get closer. They stayed around the kill until in the morning. We would see them feeding around on the kill in the morning. I fetched water from the spillway and we cooked pasta. That was the only thing we would easily cook. When the pasta was ready, I did as we were told on the dream, and we had our pasta breakfast. We packed our backpacks and turned the fire off and continued with our journey to our second camp. It was an easy walk for us. We were to walk only 15 kilometers that day instead of the 26 kilometers we did the previous day. During the walk, the question kept circulating in my mind to find the explanation of the dream. During our 15-kilometer walk, we did not even see an impala until we arrived to our second camp. We both liked that. We were to meet up with the canoe trails crew in the afternoon in this camp as they were starting their canoe trails. The explanation of the dream came to my mind late in the afternoon as we started to see the first animals of the day in the afternoon. The explanation of the dream was that my father asked me to do as he instructed me, to keep animals out of our path so we can stay calm, especially for Kay as she was terrified for the whole night. In the afternoon, the canoe trails crew arrived and we both felt safer with more people around. The crew brought an extra canoe for us to use the following day for us to get back to Explorers Camp. We spent a good night's sleep, but unfortunately we made a mistake. Because of the extra people in the campsite, we felt comfortable and we did not obey the tradition. We lost the focus and we made love. It was a big mistake. Remember, I've been sitting in the bush for 2 months. So our biggest mistake of the trip. Remember, we still have to get back to camp, Explorers Camp, the following day, which was even a longer distance for us to cover in one day. The canoe crew did stop for 2 nights on the way as they were with guests. But because I was guiding the following day, we had to get back to camp in a day. 60 kilometers for us to cover in a day wasn't easy. Very early in the morning, we parted ways with the crew and got into our canoe and started the journey. I kept reminding me that we broke the rule. Knowing this, I was careful and alert of anything happening. I knew something bad was going to happen. I kept throwing wild guesses as to what would be it. When we left that morning, I put the polling stick and the pedal for changing when I get tired of paddling. It was late in the afternoon and we were about 2 hours away from Explorers Camp when we came across a breeding herd of elephants. From a distance approaching the herd, I would see the problem. The matriarch kept moving around in circles and suspending her trunk in the air. When she turned around, she saw us. We were in the middle of the channel, 50 meters wide. As soon as she saw our canoe, she came with full speed and was running on the edge to keep up with us. As soon as she gets parallel to us, she got into the water and increased speed towards us. We both understood what was happening. I put the paddle down and got my long polling stick. Kay was still using her paddle. I told her to keep paddling as I switched to get to the polling stick. On the other scene, I would see the rest of the herd cheering as increased the speed. When she realized that we are ahead of her, she went out of the water and started running into the edge of the water, to the spillway to keep up with us. So smart, She kept running in and out of the water and we were getting too tired. We kept the canoe in the middle of the channel as I realized in the deeper areas she was much slower, which gave us a chance to go ahead of her. She has been chasing us with a range for about 200 meters and now she's getting very close to us. I chambered my rifle ready to blast her as she was near. We got very lucky. We were just on the entrance of a deeper section and she finally stopped. Thank God there was no hippos when the drama happened. She left us and went back to join the rest of the herd which was following her. We were both so exhausted at this stage. I had cramps on my arm. We finally got to camp safely. Matt arrived with 5 guests a couple of days later and we had a wonderful trip together. 2 years later, Kay and we got married. I had kids. That simple tells you that Kay did pass my test. I hope you guys enjoyed the story.